Hello, welcome to our podcast, Gems Squared, and I am Bree,
And I'm Winnie.
and we are Just Two Gems. How you feeling, Winnie?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you feeling? I got
good.
a massage today.
Ooh,
It was nice.
was it deep tissue?
It was more of a relaxing one. I think next time I have to ask for firmer pressure, but
Oh,
it was good.
What's the difference between a relaxing one and firmer pressure?
Like, it's not as much of them working on the, knots and muscles. It's more like gliding and...
Oh, I don't like those then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to talk to you about cancel culture.
Ooh.
I think that's important we talk about that right now. And I want to ask you, what are some things in cancel culture that you thought, really, we're canceling people for this? Is it really this deep? You know?
Yeah. Okay, I got one. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm a BTS fan.
BTS.
And I don't know why either, but it was lovely. And so one of my faves, my bias, if you know what I'm talking about, RM, he came out with an album, and in his album, he had one of his friends, another rapper named Tableau. And so they had a song together, and I found out it was like this big deal because Tableau got canceled back in like the 2010s. And the reason he got canceled is because somebody decided to question online his academic, the honesty of his academic success because he got a bachelor's and a master's in 4 years at Stanford. And so, like, this big campaign was launched against him, and everybody in Korea, like, turned on him, and it got so bad that, like, he decided to step away from his group, and then it just, like, really changed the trajectory of his career.
Wow.
Not that he didn't, like, get some fame and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they did recently have another comeback, and they've done other comebacks, but, yeah, it just, like, really blew, and they were able to, and it's crazy because, like, he came out with, like, documents right away, and then Stanford even backed him up, and people were like, I don't know. And then they finally caught the person who started it, and it was a 57-year-old Korean-American guy that was living in the U.S. Just lying on the internet for no reason, bro.
So this man got canceled because people didn't know if he was smart or not.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, he didn't even want to go to Stanford. His parents forced him to go.
Oh.
Bro. Just saying.
Totally get that.
But that's mine. I also just want to do an honorable mention, just because I think it's kind of funny, Daniel Caesar. Because he, like, literally didn't need to be canceled. That man was on a ship to fame, bro. He was just living his life, doing great. And
what
happened? This... influencer who happened to be a white woman, she said the N-word, and he, like, stuck up for her. Some people are now saying it's because people are making fun of him. Dave Chappelle was making fun of him, and that, like, blew up on the internet, and then he was like, I need to stand up for other people who are getting made fun of. But it's like, no, she was rightfully being called in, and then when people are like, yo, what are you doing? Like, no, and he's like, I don't care, cancel me if you don't like it. And then black people are like, all right, bet. And
dang,
yeah,
and truly canceled him.
And he hasn't gotten anywhere near the level of fame since then. He had another album came out. He had this, what I felt was like a very lukewarm apology. And yeah, crazy.
Wow. Dang, that's some real wild stuff to be canceled for. Oh, I bet he won't be saving no more white women after that.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Some people can't learn lessons. One of the things that I think, like, cancel culture definitely missed the mark on was with LeBron James. And listen, I'm not a basketball fanatic. I just start watching the Wolves games because of her. So I used to be when I was younger, but not currently. And people really canceled this man from leaving the Cavs, and I think he went back to the Cavs, and then people were like sending death threats and was talking about things they're gonna do to him, his kids, like all kinds of stuff. And they were like actually booing him. Like it was terrible. All because the man just was switching around with different, teams. And my thing is like, isn't that normal?
Sports fans are like a whole other league of their own, which is so crazy because of misogyny, people like to make fun of like anything that women and girls are fans of.
Mm-hmm.
But like nobody talks about like the fanboying in sports.
No one talks about it.
And people are starting to talk more about it now. Not no one talks about it, but
yeah, what she said.
But I just think it's so funny because they are like so wild over the smallest things. Like when you were saying that made me think of the David Beckham docuseries, and he like missed a goal or like their team didn't win and like everybody blamed him. And it was like a big game, but like they hated him after that.
But it's called team.
Exactly, and it's just like, and also it's a game. And like the violence and the anger that was directed at him, just crazy. And then like they would blame Victoria Beckham as well, being like, you're taking them away from it.
They love to blame the woman.
Yeah.
But I also feel like I've recently found out a part of that fandom for men is a lot of them bet on those games. Like their houses.
Oh, that's a crazy.
A lot of them. So I'm wondering if a part of that is like, you let me down and you owe me money, which is like, no, you made the choice to bet. You know what I mean? But
yeah. I don't think it's the majority. I think they're just, that's the way they get out their excitement, their tears. That's their like way of communing with each other in a non-gay way.
That's also part of it. I don't doubt that at all. I don't doubt that at all. It's been in the same breath as sports. I just think that it is so irrational for people to cancel Dwayne Wade because he's supporting his daughter Zaya. Like that doesn't make sense. Like transphobia is so loud and rampant, and it just, to me, I applaud him, like as a black man and his wife Gabrielle Union, to like show up and be supportive and be, authentic with their child and just showing up for them, and even talking about like the transitions that they had to go through in their family, while Zaya was also telling them like, hey, this is how I identify. So for me, I just think fans of Dwayne Wade, like being so verbally aggressive to him, also sending him death threats and talking about what they're gonna do to his family. And even under Zaya's like comments on her Instagram,
and
like
she's a child.
So it's just like, that was just like, y'all really mad because a parent is supporting their child? Cool. That's good. That's a tangent that I won't get too serious in. Of like, we just don't do enough to protect our children.
And just love your child. Like that's all they're really doing is just literally loving their child.
Loving their child. That's it. That's all. But you mad. And I'm like, a lot of people got some moves they need to take. It's like,
to heal.
You gotta heal. You got to.
Also, on that note, like, to me, if you can't apologize, and more importantly, if you are not able to apologize to a child, you're not mature enough to have a child.
No.
I said what I said. I'm not taking it back. I'm sorry.
Crickets for me. I was like, bore.
But yeah.
Say that again.
I just had to drop that there because more kids need to be protected and loved. Another thing, going back to our topic of cancel culture, because I do think like it has its merits, and I'm not somebody who's like, oh my god, cancel culture is so wrong. Especially because of the way it's been like co-opted by, I would say, conservatism and white people as like a scapegoat for not taking any sort of accountability on something that they've done or said.
Absolutely.
When like all that time you guys you in those videos explaining like, well, like this is why it's not, and cancel culture is so awful. Why couldn't you just be like, dang, I should have deleted that.
Right.
Or, yeah, I did say that. Just, taking accountability and not being rude about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Showing us that you've learned and improved. Mm-hmm. Think about those things. However, one thing I don't like about cancel culture is there are just people online in every sphere of onlineness that be taking it too far and turning it into hateful stuff and just waiting for that to be the time to like say some shit, and especially like the homophobia that goes with it, because a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about today, spoiler, trigger warning, we will be talking about Diddy Day for sure. But the like acceptance of the wrong things he's doing, but like, oh my god, he was having gay sex.
That is what I don't understand. Of when I was doing my research, I'm like, that's the headlines.
Yeah,
like you are again like, this is not good. Like, you should not do stuff like this. And it's, I don't know, it's
it's
just gotta take a deep breath.
But yeah, so to kind of keep us moving on this train, I thought it'd be a little fun to take us back and talk about the origins of cancel culture.
Come on now.
I had to look it up. This is all coming to you via Wikipedia.
Very reputable source.
Take it with a grain of salt. Research it some more if you'd like. Mm-hmm. This was just a quick look, and it seems pretty believable. So this is what we're rolling with. So, in 1981, an album by Chic. We all know him. We all love him.
Les Freak.
Say Chic. Freak out! Just great hits.
Great hits.
Look him up. If you don't know him just based off of the name, you know him.
You know what's up.
But they came out with an album, Take It Off, which had the song Your Love Is Canceled. Mm-hmm. Because the writer, let me get this right, Nile Rodgers, who was a musician, composer, guitarist, record producer, and, you guessed it, a black man. Mm-hmm. He went on a date. It was bad. He wrote the song.
Yep.
It was great.
Airing out his grievances.
It then inspired another black man, Barry Michael Cooper, to make a reference to that in his 1991 film, New Jack City. Yep. In which he referred to a woman being canceled. So from there, it just definitely made its way into the AAVE vernacular and spread like wildfire. As things do. It really took off. It became notable on Black Twitter in 2015. Mm-hmm. Of course, after that, it got... other people started to bear witness to these words, and it got co-opted, like many of our words do. And then eventually it kind of took on this negative connotation. So then it eventually became this thing of like, oh, so one person said one wrong thing and now they're canceled. Which, somebody show me where that's actually happened. And, like, people have actually canceled somebody. Successfully. I'll wait. And, like, I also want to say, like, if they did do something atrocious, people have the right to be like, I don't want to follow them anymore.
I'm done.
Yeah, I think that there's so much of this, like, free speech, blah, 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 blah. But one, there's no such thing as free speech without consequences. Mm-hmm. And two, coming in, with... not good intentions or using hate speech and things like that, that is not coming in to have like a real discussion. So you can't use the excuse that this is like an honest debate or anything like that. Like, there's no reason why we have to allow that in our discussions.
Yeah.
Personally. Okay. Do you feel like cancel culture kills debates?
I think it does.
Really?
Yeah, I think it does. Because there are people who are so afraid of what they can lose depending on their relationship to, like, fame and money. So I feel like if someone came up to them and was like, if you don't do this, you're going to be canceled. or say something like that to them, they will do it or try to do whatever they can to not be canceled because they don't want to engage in any type of debate.
I guess for me, that one's kind of hard because I'm like, that's a personal problem. You're too scared to speak up for your own values.
It is. That's a part of it. But I'm just saying, like, some people will be like, I'm too scared to do it and just...
But, like, again, well, you know, depending on what it is, like, I don't know. Like, if you're sticking up for something you truly believe in, that's, like these people who are losing jobs because they're sticking up for Palestine. Like, that's what you got to do. I think that that's different than taking your whole show and making nobody want to watch the last season because you want to go on a Zionist rant. You know what I mean? Like,
right. But I don't think people see that difference.
But
not people.
It is there
all.
though. So like, if you don't know that, then you got to learn that. I'm sorry.
No, and people do have to learn those lessons. But I'm just saying, I just know, and I say that as a booktuber. Mm-hmm. I see so many people get called out for something and will not engage because they're afraid if they engage or try to debate with the person who just canceled, there will be more canceled, or they just will freak out. They will not engage. I've also seen people in the book community get canceled for some wild stuff.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not on the line enough for some of the stupidity of it. But also to me, like, if you guys are a community, then it's time to start building more community to have, like, discussion, be like, all right, you guys.
Yeah.
That's not it. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean... not to shout out my friend Ashley from Bookish Realm.
Shout her out.
Shout out to you, Ashley. She actually started Let's Have Critical Thinking discussions in the booktube world. A lot of people don't credit her.
Ooh.
But she started that. So she's always trying to have critical thinking about, like, discussions on her channel about someone who's being canceled, someone, like, something that's coming out, or, like, let's read diversely. Like, what is your issue against reading diversely? So it's just, she's always doing this. Like, every week on her channel, she's posting, like, a critical thinking video that pertains specifically to the booktube community. But now, since she started, there are other channels who are doing similar stuff too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like just starting to be a thing. But it wasn't a thing, I would say, 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay, so to me, I think like you're saying, like, oh, I don't want to be more canceled. So then, I don't know if this is like a semantics thing for me, but it's just like, then how are you canceled if you still have followers? Like, you're still going. Like, people who say Chris Brown is canceled, he's still making hella money. Like,
it's as if it didn't happen.
Is he less famous? Sure. Do the people who don't want to listen to him or interact with him anymore not do that? Yeah. But he still got fans. He's still performing. He's still, getting streams. Mm-hmm. So, like, to say somebody is canceled, like, what does that even mean? And, like, what are the levels to that? Or I think about, like, even, like, Lizzo. I think she's just still in her hibernation phase, waiting for things to blow over. Mm-hmm.
She did put out a video.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, the video, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't finish it all. But what I
didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, I didn't finish it all. Only because I was just scrolling. Like, when you're just mindfully doing it and not really paying attention. And what I heard from her saying, like, we need to support Palestine, Congo, and Sudan. And I immediately opened up the comments, and people were like, you are, 170 or 80 days at that time late. So it was like a lot of people were very upset with Lizzo for not standing on business. Mm-hmm.
Which I think that is a hard thing that we're going to have to balance, like, also moving forward, is because we still want people to change their mind.
We do.
But also, your fans get to be disappointed that you didn't come out and say something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this shit has been wrong since October 7th.
Since October 7th.
I'm sorry. If you don't know, the numbers since October 7th of the death toll for Is Not Real has only gone down.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers for the people in Palestine, in Gaza, has only gone up.
Mm-hmm.
As well as in the West Bank, where, again, there is no Hamas.
Yep. And, yep. And 1/3 of all the Palestinian people who was killed is children and women.
But yeah, so like this idea of canceling, like even when it comes down to like our politicians right now that are just left and right turning their backs on us. And like I know that there's gonna be people who are gonna feel like their comfortability isn't worth standing on a cancellation.
Right.
And so it's just interesting, like the different routes of like what being canceled actually means.
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean, losing favorability for a little while, a couple years, being able to come back, not being able to come back, only being able to come back on niche things?
Yeah.
Or the idea of separating the art from the artist, which I am very conflicted about and do participate in, but
yeah,
still conflicted.
Yeah. I mean, when you're thinking about, like, for me, when I'm thinking about separating art from the artist, I got to ask myself, like, what happened? I feel like it has to be a case-by-case base.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if someone getting canceled because they're supporting their trans child, that's ridiculous. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Versus someone like Elvis Presley, who but the white folk is holding on for dear life. Dear life, they hold on. Knowing he met Priscilla at a party when she was 14 years old.
And like to have sex with virgins. Young virgins.
But you go to Vegas and you gonna see an Elvis at every turn.
And he also what?
Was a predator.
Stole from black people.
Oh, that too. I was like, was a predator. That's true, but he stole from black people. You heard that song, You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. You know what I'm saying? If you've heard of that song, I know my voice didn't hit it like it should have, but you got what I was throwing out. You understand?
We got it.
So that song was written by Big Mama Thornton, and Doja Cat recently did a remix to that song for the motion picture Vegas. And that song actually, a lot of people credit it to Elvis. He stole it from a black woman. And that's not the only song. A lot of his songs, I would say over 50% of his songs.
And his dance moves.
Were stolen from black people. He would visit different communities and different, bars that played the music of his time. I forget the name of that type of music. But he would visit those bars in black communities and just steal from them casually.
Which is how a lot of music occurred, you guys. There's a lot more videos out here that can tell it to you nicely, explain it long. But I think that also kind of... I do want to come back to Doja Cat because I do got to talk about her because she has been canceled a couple times.
Yeah.
But that what you're just saying reminded me of like how people are feeling about Beyonce. To make it clear, I'm not a Beyonce fan, really. She's got great music, don't get me wrong.
I'm an ex-Beyonce fan.
But...
it's hurtful.
I don't believe in that there's any ethical billionaires. And I've had some other issues with her that started with Tidal. All I'm saying is that shit was too expensive. You can't say you're coming out with a music app for black people that is $15 a month. $15. Back in the 2010s, bro. No. That's crazy.
Is Tidal still on?
I don't even know. I literally didn't even do the free trial. I was so angry. That's so rude. And then to put their albums on there, yeah. That was rude as hell. Mm-hmm. And Kanye, at that time, that wasn't right. I'm sorry. But I do got to stick up for her with this new country album. And, like, just how crazy it is and racist. Like, people trying to be like, oh, she can't do this. She's from Texas. Country music is rooted and comes from the foundations of black musicians. That was covered by white people. Like, that's how it happened. I can't remember the family's name, but, it's the name of her. Beyonce used it in her, like, album titles and stuff. It's real clever, but I'll put it down below. Okay. The name of the family that is credited with being like the origins of country that literally went out and stole.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But like, and no tea, no shade, because we literally just went to her concert. But Shania Twain, she's Canadian.
Canadian.
And what's his name is from Australia. Y'all have no problem with them being in the country realm. And the amount of city people that be singing about like country shit, tractors and shit. Come on now, y'all.
It's not good.
So, understand if you're complaining about Beyonce joining the country realm, it's rooted in racism. That's the only thing that there is.
Yeah, yeah. Not to bring us back, because you talked about a Canadian.
Oh.
I'm going to talk about another Canadian. Aubrey. Aubrey. You must do time. You must get canceled, because my dude.
The grooming?
Why were you talking to Millie Bobby Brown?
Billie Eilish?
Why? Why? Por qué?
Hailey Bieber before she was married. That model. The 17-year-old girl he kissed on stage.
Who's saying like she ain't tripping about it, essentially.
But like, what are you, 31, talking to a 13-year-old? Please, anybody who is 31 or older, imagine talking to somebody who's 13 about their life and about boys. And they're not your little cousin, your son, your daughter, your
not a blood relative or
like you,
adopted niece or uncle.
You ain't got nothing to do with that child. That's creepy, y'all. It's creepy.
It is. I just didn't. I don't know. I watched the clip of Millie Bobby Brown talking about her relationship with Aubrey, and it was just too much.
Speaking of light skins, Doja Cat, back to her.
Wow. Had to take us back to another light skin, as she is part of the light skin brigade.
And you know I'm ready to shit on them when I can. Which, I didn't know this because I don't listen to a lot of her songs, but did you know Ice Spice puts a lot of poop references in her song?
Yeah.
Like a lot, bro. I watched some woman just talking about it on YouTube, and I was like...
I like her line said, "I'm the shit, bitch. You're not even a fart."
That is a good one. I think that one's funny as hell.
That's a bar.
But in 2 different songs, she refers to herself as Miss Poopy.
You know... There's a lot of things I can get behind, but if somebody poops on me, that's a kink that's hard for me to wrap my head around.
If you like it, you like it. I question what is there to like. Like, is it the texture? Is it the smell?
I always thought maybe it's the warmth.
Oh, that too. For me, it's a no-go. No, thank you. I don't want to be the pooper. Don't want to be pooped on.
No, dang, you're not interested.
Neither
in any position.
Neither.
Wow.
The golden showers either. While we're making that clear.
There's nothing that's coming out of you.
Again,
really.
This is an adult show.
Yes, it's an adult show.
But yeah, that's just, I don't know how we got there. Speaking of yellow showers, another person before we go back to Doja Cat, R. Kelly. Problematic. You guys got to let him go. Again, I know we'll go back to R. Kelly. He deserves his own little rant. But Doja Cat.
Yep.
She's interesting because she has like a past of being an edgelord, which I don't get internet trolls. I just don't get just going on there and saying shit posty stuff. I don't like... Are you lonely? Do you need attention? I don't get it. Anyways, she's an edgelord deep in the internet depths of hell in the alt-right stuff. And she admits this as a teenager.
Yeah.
And, like, there's videos of her out there doing stuff for people on the, like, Omegle or whatever the video streaming site was at the time.
Wow.
And I'm like, ooh, girl, stand up.
Not stand up. She was sitting down, y'all.
I know you probably got a white mom, but pull it together.
No. I hope that ain't so. I gotta Google it now.
All I'm saying is, look, I do think as mixed people, we got a lot of valid things that are shit on by monoracial people. I ain't gonna lie to you. However,
Deborah Sawyer.
was I right?
Oh my God. You were too right.
The thing is, look, y'all, we as mixed people need to do better. That's all there is to it. And you white moms, you need to do better. That's all there is to it. I'm sorry. And you black dads, you need to do better. You are the black influence in the child's life. The white mom can't raise a black child. I'm sorry. That tangent being said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think that maybe she had some identity issues. I don't know. Maybe that's why she decided to find comfort in racist people who taunted her and she found, I don't know, camaraderie in. Mm-hmm. But, like, you know it was real because she put, like, little teasers in, like, 2 of her songs. Like, I think they were both titles, but it was using, like, internet slang that only people who are in that world would know the meaning of. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, like, you didn't do that for nobody but them.
Right.
And, like, to show your connection to that understanding. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way around that. I'm sorry. And then she also downplayed COVID.
Very real. Please.
Still real, bro. Regular testing is also great. Yeah.
Masking
be careful.
up in public places.
Especially the grocery store. And if nowhere else, the fucking airport, y'all.
If nowhere else.
On the plane, you're just breathing the same circulated air. They're not bringing any new air in. I just want to make that clear. It's all the same air. You're just together. And now she's going through this thing. Some people are saying it's because she wanted to get out of her contract. I don't really know. I'm sorry. I'm not following that close enough. But she's just, like, attacking her fans for, like, being her fans. Which just doesn't make sense to me. And then she wore this, like, t-shirt on Instagram of this racist, this internet comedian who likes to do racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, misogynistic rants. Like, post it on Instagram. So it's, like, one thing to, like, buy it, wear it, but then to post it on your curated social media.
That's a problem.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Mm-hmm. And, like, I'm going to be honest, I didn't even notice, like, how many Doja Cat songs, like, I knew. Uh-huh. She does have some good songs that I like. I ain't gonna lie. She's just not somebody that I fully engage with. I ever really have, and like after learning that stuff about her, whatever her reasonings is, like it doesn't make me hate her or anything, but it just makes me like she's not somebody I need to give my energy to.
Yeah. Especially
in this capitalistic world where our energy and our like focus is the currency.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what's interesting about you just like, you know, Doja Cat, see her, hear, if I do, it's okay, kind of attitude you have towards her, because she is heavily influenced by Nicki Minaj, who you also have similar thoughts about. So I'm like, maybe it's just that type of music that you just like, I can take it or leave it.
Do you think their music is super similar?
Yeah.
Oh.
She makes all kind of sounds and things when she's singing. She can't sing. I mean, I don't think Nicki Minaj is like a singer by any means, like Doja Cat, but like how animated they are.
No, because like I liked her music. It's just like the more I found out about her, and then like I also am not somebody who like really fandoms or like I've always been somebody. Oh, I like that song or I like that group of songs.
Yeah.
So I'm like not somebody like I can't name you albums. I'm never gonna be able to be like, you know that song off of blah 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 album. That ain't me. If it wasn't a song I really liked and it was on the album of a song I really liked, I probably still didn't listen to it.
I suck with identifying albums, and I be belting Brandy and Lil Wayne lyric for lyric.
Lyric for lyric.
You know, he come on, I'm da 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 da. But I passed the Carter one, and maybe I think the Drought 2. It's curtains. That man got about 17 albums. Like,
yeah.
How do you expect me to know everyone?
And so for me, like, I don't think that it's like necessarily that I like didn't like her before I knew more about her. Again, I just like didn't realize like how many songs I knew even, and so like I did like her when her stuff came on, but I just wasn't actively interacting. That's just because I don't do that normally, unless it's BTS. I went through a phase. It did happen.
Go through a phase?
It happened. So like other than that was like the first time I like really got into a fandom of being a fan of someone. Yeah. And so like for me, it's just like if I find more things out about you, like Nicki Minaj, then it just like makes me like you less and less, and then I just like don't really care for your music, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And then like that to me, that also doesn't say anything. Like I do think Nicki Minaj is a lyrical genius. I'm not gonna lie,
genius.
She really moved a lot of things forward. But I also don't like a lot of the things she's done and said, especially recently. Yeah. Her choice to align herself with her husband, her brother, and just like there's things morally like Beyonce I just don't like about them. Yeah. And I think like maybe because I never built up that parasocial relationship with them. Yeah. For me, it's just a lot easier to be like, they're just people that I don't have to support.
Yeah, versus the Beehive, it can get serious in
Barbs,
there. Yeah. With the Barbs, it can get serious in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's serious.
Mm-hmm. And so that's like something that I can kind of like, it's just there. Mm-hmm. If she comes on, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, turn Doja Cat off. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm also like, and I guess, like, maybe if I ever was, like, really had her song in my head, like, maybe I would look it up. But other than that, no. But, like, more serious things, like, I think about Mark Wahlberg. He's a tough one for me because it's just, like, I've heard it before, but, like, didn't think about it all the time. And then, like, now that I think about it more, like, I don't, like, every time I see him, I'm like, damn, like, have you improved? Mm-hmm. But so for those of you who don't know, when he was younger, when he was 15, in his teens, he committed to racial hate crimes. Mm-hmm. When he was 15, him and 3 friends were chasing 3 little black children. Wow. Yep. And they were yelling at them, kill the nigger. And yes, I'm saying it so you understand the full impact of it. Also, they were throwing rocks at them. And so Mark Wahlberg's like 51. So when he was 15, what is that, 39? So 39 years ago, we're 2024, 95.
I was going to the calculator out. I was about to pull it up.
So I'm thinking this happened in like 95, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. But these poor kids, like, slavery and like the effects of slavery wasn't that long ago. Mm-hmm. When you think back of like your grandparents being able to tell you stories and being scared. And, like, so to have that happen to you in 95, like, just wild. Traumatizing. Mm-hmm. And then also when he was 16, he committed a hate crime against 2 Asian men using slurs that I don't feel like it's my place to say. And I think physically attacking them as well. Wow. And so it's just, like, I do think that he, like, put out an apology kind of somewhere. But I'm somebody that, like, your apologies should be easy to find. Your apologies should be meaningful. Like, there should be, especially for something like this, I think there should be, like, a track record. Yeah. And, like, for me, this is not me saying, like, oh, my God, you're a fucking animal if you go watch something with Mark Wahlberg in it. Yeah. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm just saying, for me, that is something that I will think about always. And I'll be mindful of as I continue to see, like, what he does and who he interacts with and, like,
and you have every right to feel a type of way about who you want to support.
Exactly. Not that I really like that much of his stuff anymore. Yeah. The guy, remember that movie Ted, where it's like a grown man and a teddy bear?
I vaguely remember seeing a trailer.
Yep. Well, him. I do think that like there's a difference between like a solo artist and then somebody who does like group projects, like a movie. Mm-hmm. And like depending on the movie. is what they did big enough to cancel that movie, like the whole movie?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Those are things I think about personally.
Yeah, agreed. I think that about when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and how like it really impacted the movie that he was in, Emancipation.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, it impacted like, the sales, people getting attention for it. Probably with some people like first movie or whatever like that. So,
and that's an interesting one because like I still like from the jump I said this, I still think slapping him was the wrong thing. I think he did it because he was embarrassed because he got caught laughing too. But I just think there's other ways to handle it. But I don't think it's right for the award people to have him banned like that
for 10 years.
Yeah, like I think that is like crazy compared to the other things that they've allowed to happen there. And John Wayne, he tried to go up on stage and attack Sashi Littlefeather when she was accepting the award for Marlon Brando, I think. And like they literally had to like physically hold him back from attacking her. And there's been a couple other things that have happened. And it's just like, was it bad and like didn't need to happen? Sure. Was it traumatizing to the world? No, it wasn't. And I think like it's just really sad how much race like plays into the like over reaction of things or the over punishment. And
yeah, I will say one thing when you said, is it traumatizing to the world? I can imagine some people seeing that slap and being triggered.
Sure. But they didn't initiate the trauma. Like,
yeah, true. Just triggered them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when thinking of just other people, I think about Marvin Gaye as well, who is beloved in the Black community. By me. Because sexual healing is really a banger. Was I traumatized as a kid? For my mama, R.I.P. to a real one.
To a real one.
Sheila, who once I heard it, I knew it was time to clean on that Saturday morning. You understand me? When I heard Marvin and Luther Vandross in combination, I knew
it was
time to get on up and get to cleaning. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm out here cleaning to Marvin Gaye. I be just driving to Marvin Gaye.
Just driving. Just vibing.
So, but he also was a violent man. Like his second wife, Janice Hunter, who he married, he married her when she was 17 years old, and he was like twice her age. Like, what is wrong with you? Then he beat her.
Oh. And
then forced her to be in orgies. Yeah. I know.
Wow. Yep. You were saying some of this before, and it already blew my mind, but just letting it sit in again, like, damn, bro.
Literally was the Diddy of his generation. The Diddy of his generation. I was like, what? And the thing is, I also want to, like, keep in mind, like, I'm thinking about complacency, too. Like, people were around. Y'all saw this man marrying this 17-year-old. It's just people not saying stuff for me that can be bothersome.
That's one thing that's so wild about America is because we love to jump on our moral high horse, like, about many things. But one of the things is about, like, child brides and, like, young girls. And it's like, that shit happens in America.
Yeah, it does.
Very regularly.
Yeah, there's so many
very
states.
often having to do with the church. Very often. And many Republicans trying to lower or take away age restrictions around sex and marriage.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. There's so many states, but all you gotta do is sign on a dotted line.
Have your parents sign.
Yep.
And the parents.
You must do time too.
Yeah.
You must do time too.
Why are you signing the paper?
Must do time.
Okay, go back to loving and supporting your child.
Bring us back.
Oh my goodness.
And if you need a book recommendation, what is it, Winnie? About love? by Bell Hooks?
Oh, I haven't read that one yet.
You haven't?
No.
I don't know why in my mind I thought you did.
Yeah. That's how I was like, oh.
I was like, she's going to get me. And my bad.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Dang, I called her uneducated.
I could have got you as ain't I a woman, but.
That was good too.
Wow. She just called me illiterate, y'all.
I did. Moving on. Speaking of the Diddy of this generation, Diddy, Sean Combs, for sure.
For sure.
For sure. This man is, I just feel like hearing more and more and more, and we getting more and more footage. We're in the beginning stages of watching everything unfold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it started with the lawsuit that Cassie did towards him or towards his company, and had all kind of things in this 35-page document. Then it comes to this producer that he had for a long time, Lil Rod, also doing a lawsuit towards him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like finding out all the abuse he put Cassie through, us watching the video in the hotel, him with the towel running down the hall, physically assaulting her. And it's like, this was on camera, you know? In 4K, if you will. And it's just hearing about all of these things, I think about, like, you know, what has Diddy contributed to the culture?
What are you fans holding on to wanting to believe him so badly?
You can't be holding on to Bad Boys for Life. Not that song.
You can't be holding on to Ciroc.
You cannot be holding on to what is it? Sean
John?
Yeah, Sean John, and then I think Sean is just his perfume or cologne or whatever.
Let it go.
We just gotta let this man go, because really what people holding on is like the name P. Diddy, you know what I mean? Like Oprah. Like it's like Oprah. It's
no ethical billionaires.
No ethical billionaires. That's you too, Rihanna. Even though I like Fenty Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like there's just so much when I'm thinking about with like P. Diddy is like, what is his art?
He is the product.
Yeah.
He like schemed and stole, and some say killed his way up to the top.
Some say shot at least.
At least.
Yeah, allegedly. So it's just, I don't know. I just don't get the pull to him. He always gave me like the ick in a way. So it's like I couldn't tell you one of his songs. He always felt like a person that was just pondering and trying to present a different version of who he was. It didn't really feel authentic to me. And then, you know, to hear about, you know, how his power and the brand that is P. Diddy has really allowed for him to be very abusive to several people, all
so
walks
many
of
people.
Life, any race, ethnicity, or age. I don't think he really cared in his violence, allegedly. So it's just, you know, it's just hearing about all these things. For me, it's easier for me to separate myself from him and not, you know, be in any type of enamor towards him at all, because it feels like I don't really care about what he's doing. And I think even if I did care about what he's doing, like let's say he was like a rapper like 50 Cent or, you know, somebody whose songs I like or listen to, still what you did, we've seen what you've done. You have admitted to what you've done. So it's curtains.
Well, after he lied about it.
After he lied about it, but then he came on and gave us that weak ass apology. But to me, it's like it's easier for me to separate you, but I feel like even if it was, like I said, example 50 Cent, it still should be easy, because like we were talking about in cancel culture, how there's levels to it. That's a level I can't come back from. You are sexually assaulting people. You are beating people. You are trafficking people.
Drugging
them. That's I have to draw the line. I don't think I even need all of those things. Just one of those things was enough for me.
And not that I don't appreciate people coming out and corroborating stuff now, but the thing that's so crazy to me is how many of these people that are doing these interviews that are just like so okay with admitting their complacency and their like support of like what people like P Diddy did, like R Kelly. Um, One of the rappers, Mark Curry, he was doing an interview talking about, oh yeah, like when you went to a Diddy party or if you like joined his section, you knew like there was the bottles that were for women and you didn't drink them because they were drugged. And he's like, and it's not like we knew that was wrong till the Bill Cosby stuff.
What?
And I'm like, how are you gonna say you didn't know it was wrong, but y'all knew not to drink it? Y'all told other men not to drink it. And then you didn't know it was wrong because of Bill. You didn't know it wasn't wrong until Bill Cosby. Like, how? Come on now. And like to just so
No
comfortably say that,
Yeah.
like.
That's the part, to comfortably say that.
Yeah.
No accountability.
No accountability. And I think that like that's another thing that plays a huge role into like the level of like what you're willing to accept or like where you put them on the cancel or like accountability I think is a better way to do it. Or restorative justice. But like what actions are they taking to right their wrongs? You know what I mean? Are you pulling a Jonathan Majors and just saying you're dating a religious black woman? Or are you like actually going to, anger management and learning about violence against women and why it's wrong? Like,
yeah. But I feel like, and like I was talking to you a little bit, like, to me, Diddy behavior just seems really like antisocial in nature. Like it's giving, like, if I had to go, a personality disorder. You figure that out. I don't want to be out here saying stuff like that, but it's just it gives psychopath in a way, as people colloquially understand the definition, because it's just like you're out here taking pictures, you have filmed everything. In both of the lawsuits, Cassie and also Lil Rod, I was reading of how, he just kept all of this evidence of what he did to them. And that's just like tokens. Like, you're just keeping these things so you can look at them. And then he would use them to intimidate more victims to do what he wanted them to do and blackmail. So it's just like, there's just things about it that you can't just apologize for.
Yeah.
Like, this is psychopathic now. Like, this is a behavior that you have kept going on.
For decades.
This ain't a one-off. You and Epstein, y'all weren't one-off.
No.
Y'all were networking stuff. You know what I mean?
On purpose.
On purpose. So, it will be hard to come back from that. Like, I even felt like R. Kelly had a network. Maybe not as big as Diddy's.
Oh, for sure he had a network. How else was he going to be able to illegally marry Aaliyah if there wasn't a network of people helping him make that happen?
Exactly. It's just like, a lot of times, I always get nervous. Like, to me, it's like we talk, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't. We talk a lot about white men, but we don't talk a lot about power and man. You know what I mean? Doesn't matter where you come from. It's just that power aspect is already societal power of you being a man. Now add money to it. Oh my God. You could be a menace of society.
Speaking of Dr. Dre, he severely physically assaulted Dee Barnes, who was the host of a hip hop show that was really popular back then, and she is a petite woman, and he's like a larger guy, and he just beat the shit out of her. One person tried to help, and his bodyguard pistol whipped him, and he dragged her in a bathroom
Whipped her.
Yep. And then Dr. Dre dragged her into a bathroom and beat her up for assaulted her for a couple, I don't remember how long, but it was like multiple minutes. Yeah. And then the bodyguard was like holding everybody off at gunpoint.
Wow.
And so like that's a whole room of people, and like she's screaming there begging for help, and you guys seen that this was like nothing. And the reason he did it is because her show aired an interview with Ice Cube and an interview with NWA in the same segment. and it wasn't even something she chose. The
Right.
producers chose it, and
Right.
she told him that, and he still beat the shit out of her. And then after that, NWA was doing interviews, calling her a bitch and saying how she deserved it. And it's just like, nobody called this out. Nobody said how it was wrong. And like, at any level, did anybody, like, other than that one man who tried to help and then stopped. Like, but yeah, it's just like so interesting. Kind of going back to the Daniel Caesar thing. It's like that we were able to cancel him because he was like, all right, bet. You guys won't cancel me then. But then we have these people who, like, have done these violent things. Like, because Dr. Dre also physically abused his wife atrociously over years.
Yeah.
And, like, also with D Barnes, he, like, blackballed her. And she wasn't able to, like, she was also kind of in the music scene. She wasn't able to go anywhere there. She wasn't able to host any shows after that and stuff like that. And I want to say he gave her like $10,000 or something, like super little. And he just like was never, I don't think he gave a genuine apology either there. And it was something that he definitely brushed under the rug and doesn't like for it to come back out.
Yeah.
And like definitely tried to rehab his like persona. And like for me, like,
because these people are getting lifetime achievement awards.
Awards. Yeah, and so it's just like, it's crazy because it's like, these are people, their comrades, like, they knew this happened at the time. Like, for me, like, this happened when we were kids, so, like, I didn't learn about it until later, and then I was just like, well, damn, like, and yeah, again, there's just, like, I don't see the real attempt to restore any sort of justice, any sort of community, any sort of accountability there.
Yeah, I also think attention span is part of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's all of it, but I think attention span is some of it. Because once time goes by, a new generation comes, then people forget things. That's not a lot
I
of
agree.
people.
But it's also like, I think it also goes back to like past acceptance of violence against women. Yeah. And it is still accepted now, but I think that like many people back then were just like, okay, yeah.
Agreed.
And so like they didn't tell their younger counterparts like, oh, he beat the shit out of a woman for no reason.
Right.
He beat his wife for no reason. Like, and we just let him come back and say, hey, y'all. Or like even a more contemporary example, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
Severely abused physically, sexually, mentally, stalking FK Twigs for years. And like he kind of disappeared and now he's coming back. Mm-hmm. He was at the Met Gala recently, and he's like trying to quietly come back. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, what, especially in this time of the internet, I feel like we can no longer let that be our excuse of letting time pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially without any sort of real showing of trying to make amends again.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. I feel like amends also looks different for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think some people are okay with the one-off, with the note on the iPhone, and then post it on Instagram. I'm for real.
Just on the story,
Not even a post. Not even a post.
This will be gone in 24 hours.
24 hours, babes. It's out of here. You know, I think people are okay with that. Some people are like, no, I need your disrespect to equal, if not match, higher than your disrespect. Mm-hmm. So I think that's, it just depends on what the person is okay with receiving. But I also feel like a lot of times these fandoms enables these behaviors. Yep. These fandoms hyping these behaviors, and these fandoms also don't really show accountability, because it's like critiquing Beyonce is just like, what? Like, critiquing Nicki Minaj is like, because it's like
people are scared.
They are scared because it's like you can't critique them, because then you are physically against them and then trying to harm them is how those fandoms respond to things. I don't know where Jim Squared is gonna take us, But call us out. Please do not be sitting here enabling us.
Don't have problematic faves.
No.
Don't have problematic faves.
Please, don't do that. No.
I was thinking, so there's another person I have on my list. I watched this documentary not that long ago about this man, one of the big founders of J-pop, Johnny Kitagawa.
Okay.
And he's just like this person who became super beloved. He like really made J-pop flourish, and he had like this super big company, and they had like dorms and stuff and training stuff for their trainees, and he like would go there and spend the night there, and like that's just like from the outside what people would at least know.
Yeah.
And he was assaulting young boys, not all of them, like many predators do.
Yeah.
He, selects people, and then there's always going to be people who be like, no, he didn't do that to me.
Yeah.
He was kind to me. But through the decades, people did come out, and a lot of people silenced them. Some people were like, "We don't care. You were still there." Some victim blaming, stuff like that. Just awful.
Wow.
And but he was essentially like allowed to live his life with all of his glory. Recently, he died in 2019, and then recently they did an investigation in 2023, and it was found out that he abused hundreds of boys and young men.
Yeah.
And
it's not to cut you off, but like when you were saying like he didn't do anything to me, I truly hate that, because it's like there are people who I don't talk to anymore because I found out you abused somebody that I love, and I don't talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
You may have been awesome to me, but they ain't got shit with they ain't got shit to do with what you did to my friend. You know what I'm saying? It's curtains for you. That's just what it is. It's curtains. So I feel like saying they don't do it to you, abusers are not going to show that they are an abuser in front of everybody. It won't work if they do.
Also going back to Diddy. That's why some of his parties were just normal ass parties that people were having a good time at.
Yeah.
Some of his parties, if you went to a certain room, you could have something happen.
Yeah.
And some of his parties, only certain people got invited to.
Yeah.
Like, he knew what he was. That's how manipulative he was. Like, he knew what he was doing. And, like, this guy, like, there were many people who knew what he was doing to make sure that this was quiet for so long. And at the time when this came out, his, like, niece was the CEO, and then she stepped down. Which, like, okay, but, like, to me, that's nothing. Like, he lived his full life and got was allowed to deny it and shame these other people. And, again, like, where's the real accountability?
Yeah.
To the young men's life that he ruined. Lives that he ruined. I think one last thing that kind of plays into it also is, like, who the victims are. And, like, how much we care. And we as in society, not like we as in us personally, because like I think also about Ezra Miller, when actively they were grooming and on the run with an 18-year-old Native girl, young woman, and like the parents came out and said that he'd been talking to them and grooming them since they were like 14, and they were doing other things at that time. And DC Warner Brothers were just like, and we're still doing this movie. It's still coming out.
Yeah.
You know, like of all the times to be like, maybe we should pull this back. Maybe let's do something else.
That's when greed come in, because it's like, I spent all this money and, we're going to post this. You know what I mean? So, not excusing it, but that's probably why, part of it.
I think that there is a lot of, like, especially in the entertainment sphere that needs to be reckoned with, unfortunately. And I think, like, as consumers, we're going to have to start playing a role in that, of, like, what we'll accept and, like, expecting more for people. And I think, like, another important thing is just, like, building a community and, looking for accountability instead of canceling. Calling out those toxic people who are like, you should kill yourself.
Exactly.
Report those comments. We all know that ain't right. That's why earlier I was saying, like, I don't think cancel culture is all wrong. I think that, like, this upsurgence of an ability for marginalized people and communities to, like, be able to say their piece and to say, like, like, we're sick of this. Like, this is not okay. Like, stop treating us this way.
Exactly.
I think we have every right to do that. We
have every right, based on the history of this country alone. Full stop.
Full stop. And I think it also has to do with us, like, caring more about, being on school boards and what's in school, and, like, teaching kids responsibility and accountability. Like, I can't tell you, like, when I was scrolling through TikTok to, like, just see what people are saying about cancel culture and stuff like that, how many, like, young white kids I saw being like, well, they just said the N-word, like, yeah, it's bad, but, like, it was just in poor taste, like, so long ago, or, like, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, okay, you knew it was wrong then, and you thought it was funny. Admit that. Grow from that and try to be better. And stop trying to act like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, if we could have these real conversations and show people, like, so that's not something that white kids feel like it's something to joke about.
Exactly.
They're not having Snapchat groups selling black students in their school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we all need to do more and ensure that people like Daughters of Liberty and these other conservative mom groups don't take over our curriculums.
Exactly.
And stop teaching these lies to keep their...
influencing what is and is not in libraries.
Exactly. Because, honestly, a lot of the race stuff, we're being held back by white people being too uncomfortable to just talk about it and move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
that's really what it is.
If you're so worried about being canceled about those things, and if you have to say, oh, I just feel like I can't say anything because I'm going to be attacked, it's like, well, what are you saying in your everyday life that you are so worried that if you're just having an open discussion that you're just going to pop up and say something racist?
And like Ta-Nehisi Coates once said, and I'm paraphrasing, of, like, essentially, white people, y'all are wild. There are so many words in the Webster Dictionary, and you're hung up about not saying the N-word. That's what you're hung up on.
That's what you're hung up on.
That's the cross you want to die on. That can't be it.
And the rest of us, you guys, the transphobia, I'm not just trying to pick on white people, because we all have people from our communities are out here saying wild stuff.
Wild.
And we got to be calling these people in too.
Yep. Keyword calling in.
Calling in.
I think people don't even talk enough about that, of, like, it's just important to call people in, because I think when you call in people, most often you'll get, like, a response of, like, they want to engage in a discussion, versus you're spending your time berating someone for what they said.
And I think more people also have to understand that, like, not everybody is going to have the patience for that. There will be people out there who, are closer to the fringes that are trying to help people come. But you got to stop expecting that of Black, Indigenous, and brown people.
You really do.
Other marginalized groups.
You really do.
Some of us can do that work, and, like, sometimes it's some days. Sometimes it's like, oh, maybe you just hit me on a good hour.
No. I tell you that all the time. Some days.
But it's time. This is where allyship really needs to come into play, or, like, other people who have a connection to something there that they can meet on. Like, But that's why, again, back to community. I swear this will be something I harp on for the rest of my life. It's just like, we need people to fill in gaps and to do multiple things and separate things. And, like, that's how we grow, with the ability to not spread ourselves too thin. To also be authentic to ourselves and allow ourselves to have our own authentic emotions about not wanting to do things or not wanting to have to put up with certain types of people.
No, straight up. Because I feel like, not to go in again on white people, it's like, there are ways for you to show up for your Black and brown folks. No, it's like, for me, like, my white friends know that, I only got a certain amount of energy for the microaggression, macroaggression, and the racism that happens to me on a daily basis. But if I say I smell oranges, I'm calling you in to fix the situation.
Oranges?
Yeah, it's a code name.
Oh.
Sorry, I should have explained that. So with my white friends, it's probably over 10 years ago now. I was having a conversation with, like, maybe 5 of them, and we were just, like, having honest conversations about race, and then, I was talking about my experience, and one of them was like, we just need a name. We need something to know because we don't want to overstep if you feel like I'm doing too much or this like that. Because I do often have felt that way with white people who come into my, I'm like, you are really a bit too goddamn much right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to eat pancakes at Denny's. Let that white man be rude. I'm hungry. You know what I mean? Like, let's move past this. But then I came up with this thing of like oranges. If I say I smell oranges, this is a time for you
to step in.
You need to come on in.
Yeah.
So and even though it was like 3 people I had that conversation with originally, I have passed that to every white person it's in my life. I'd be like, you need to know them oranges. It's time for you to put your suit on and be Captain Save a Black person. I need it. Okay.
This is when
and
you can really be a white savior.
No, exactly. Save me.
She does want to be saved. Please save her.
So, it's one of those things. It's been very helpful actually over the years.
And just to kind of get us to keep wrapping up, we'll get there. But yeah, I don't know. I think we shouldn't allow conservative talking points to stop us from having these conversations or to stop people from wanting to withdraw their support of somebody they no longer agree with.
Yeah.
And yeah, be more open-minded. Actually, I will end it. So we'll probably talk about this more later because I just realized we didn't even talk about it this time. But we went to Vegas recently.
Yes.
And we got to see one of my favorite comedians, Gabriel Iglesias, a.k.a. Fluffy. He was starting to do a segment, and it kind of like got my hackles up. And there was a point of a joke he made, and the undertones of like why some of the people in the crowd were laughing had to be down to transphobia. And like for me, like I didn't like that. And, like, it almost, like, kind of shut me down from, like, continuing to watch the show.
Agreed.
And then I just had to, like, sit there in my head and think, like, okay, so, well, one, it's not his fault that it happens that there are people here that I know I don't agree with politically.
Yeah.
That are also his fans. Like, that's not his fault that I'm his fan and those people are his fans.
Yeah.
Also, I had to think about, like, what he said. And I did agree with with what he was saying. And, like, there are parts of it, like, that come down to the classism in the way that people, especially who are in academia, like to call out people, and for like little word type things, and especially when they're not built from the community, which I think is a big thing that we need to definitely get better at.
Agreed.
Because students are a great way of us moving forward, but also we can't move forward if we're not doing this in community with people, everyday people. Also building up the ideas and the terms that we're going to be using. Yeah. But so I'm like having this thought in my head. I'm like going through this and I'm just like, are you going to let this ruin the rest of this? Like, and are you going to shut down because of these reasons when you're not, and not listen to the rest of like the things that he's saying and like what he's actually saying? And so I was like able to pull myself out of it, and I'm glad I did because it was like the rest of the show was really great. Yeah. It's really enjoyable.
He's funny.
He is funny, bro.
And his voices, oh my God.
So good.
That was my first time seeing him or ever seeing him.
I've watched his specials. I've never seen him in person. That was great.
Yeah, I've never watched his specials.
Unfortunately, we saw Cat Williams in person. Great fucking beautiful seats. And
beautiful seats. And
it just wasn't like his previous specials.
It wasn't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
and so I think like that's a great thing, like right there. Like I can still appreciate Cat Williams' old stuff. I'll still watch those old specials and laugh. His new stuff maybe just isn't for me anymore, and that's like what it is for me, and that's fine. Yeah. Gabriel Iglesias, like I know that some of his jokes aren't fully for me. Yeah. But I still think he's funny. Yeah. And I can still understand like where he's coming from. Yeah. And so I think like we all need to like take a step back before we let our rage monsters out.
Yeah, but you just did critical thinking, and critical thinking is at an all-time low. And with that being said, thank you for watching and listening to our
like
podcast.
And subscribe. Yes. Comment on YouTube. We love seeing it. We will start replying. Yes. It's been a wild time. Yeah. Like we said, we went to Vegas for a week for our birthdays. It was just our birthdays. Like we said, we're Geminis. But yeah, we really appreciate it. Keep listening, keep watching, keep engaging.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.